Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, so let's start with our previewing of this game. So I got 3 questions for you guys before we get into like the stats and talking a little deeper in the game. The first one is, and maybe I'll start with Rue. How big of a difference will Derrick Henry make if he in fact plays in this game, which I think he's on schedule to?
Well, first of all, I think he's definitely going to be fresh if he plays. So I think they might just give him the ball like 30 times, which would be huge. But the Bengals got to be knowing it's coming. So it's hard to say, but I feel like they got to give him the ball. I think that's their best chance.
Okay. Yeah. Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if he's what we know Derrick Henry to be, it's going to be a big piece. I think knowing if Trey Hendrickson's going to play for the Bengals is huge. He's a big part of their front line. But yeah, I don't see how he couldn't be a factor.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Their run game has been pretty solid without him. How about you, Shannon? What did you think about Henry?
Well, Derrick Henry is definitely a difference maker. But you have to remember the Titans have won games without Derrick Henry. So having another weapon like that is only going to make their chances even better.
Yeah, I think that's where I sit too there, Shannon. Okay, let's go to our next question. Okay, so which trio are you most excited to watch? Burrow, Chase, Mixon, or Tannehill, Brown, and Henry? Okay, so this is assuming Henry starts. So maybe I'll start with Shannon this time. Which trio are you most excited to watch in this game?
I have cases for both sides, but I'm going to choose Tannehill, Brown, and Henry because I think Henry is the best out of all of them as far as like being a difference maker. My next on the list would be Jamar Chase, but I have to give the nod to the Titans' big 3.
Yeah, I like them too. I like AJ Brown. I think he's a little underrated. He doesn't get enough talk. What about you, Nate? Who do you like? Which trio do you like, or are you looking forward to watching?
I can't root for Tannehill. I just can't do it. So it's gotta be Burrow, Chase, and Mixon.
Yeah, how about you, Rue?
Yeah, I'm with Nate. I think they're rolling. The confidence is high, so good things can happen. Outcome is different, but I think that's just going to be exciting to see what those guys can continue to do as they get more and more confidence.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these like 3 people on or players, I should say, on different teams, but I'm actually got a soft spot a little bit for Tannehill because he used to be a Dolphin, and the Dolphins, were just never good. So I'm excited to see if he can actually take them to the next level. Okay, let's go to our last question. Okay, so this is a coach question. So Mike Vrabel. I can't say it right now. Yeah, Mike, the coach for the Tennessee Titans, or Zach Taylor. Nate, which coach are you most confident in going into this game?
Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel.
I feel like he's just a player as a coach. Like he's still got that player mentality. He'd headbutt guys without a helmet on. He's crazy, and I think he really connects with his players. So I've always liked him as a coach.
Yeah, excellent. Rue?
Yeah, Vrabel too. I think he's kind of got that a little bit from Belichick, the fact that he likes to take something away. I'm not sure which way he's going to go, but he makes the other team beat you with something, not everything you're good at. So I think he's going to make a young team with a young coach have to adjust, and that's going to kind of be a problem.
I like that. Shannon?
I have to go with Vrabel as well. I think he keeps his players disciplined. And I just think Tennessee is kind of flying under the radar. I mean, they didn't just happen to get the number 1 seed. You have to win a certain amount of games to even get that. And they did that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
I do have to say, though, I'm excited to see what Zach Taylor does. He's going to have to pick his spots to be aggressive because they're just going to have to against a team like the Titans. So I'm curious to see if this will be a spot where it's too big for him or he can adjust.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's going to be exciting to see that young coach, see if he could deliver. I'm with you guys, though. Mike Vrabel, I'm looking forward to watch. I think he's the better coach. He'll have the team ready in a physical way too. Like he gets his team up to play very physical games. So I like the fact that he will probably have his guys in the trenches ready for this game. So I'm with you guys on Vrabel. Okay, let's go into the Bengals. Okay, so before we get into this, so we're basically going to preview the game. Before I get into my like Bengals win if part, I got and I have a the Titans win if. Anything about this game to you guys that you guys want to talk about or stands out to you guys at all? Go ahead, Rue.
There's one more thing is Ogunjobi is out too on the Bengals line. I think that also is going to be kind of a big deal as far as obviously Henry coming back and them having a pretty good rushing attack regardless. So I think that's what's going to make it real interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Nate.
I'm a little scared at how the Titans finished their season. Like they had something to play for the last week. They wanted that number 1 seed and they almost got beat by the Texans. And then they got a week off. So I'm a little curious how that bye is going to help them, but that gives me a little pause.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, okay, go ahead, Shannon.
Well, the Bengals have been a little bit of a yo-yo team. I mean, they've been really good, but they have had those stinker weeks that are almost inexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only way the Bengals can win is if they are able to take the ball away, maybe get a pick against Tannehill or something like that.
Yeah, turnovers. Yeah. So, like, do you guys think the week off can hurt teams, or do you think it helps teams overall, or would you say it just depends on the team? Go ahead, Nate.
I honestly think it can hurt teams sometimes, especially if you're a hot team coming out of the season and then you got to sit down and I think sometimes they overplan, they overscheme, they overdo things rather than just go with feel. So, I mean, I think it does depend on the team, but it does seem like quite often it can hurt people.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It can definitely cool teams down a little bit. Rue?
Yeah, and I think kind of like Nate was saying, like people are in the NFL, players are so creatures of habit. So take a week off just throws quite a bit off, and then coaches have more time to probably overthink it. So sometimes I think that's why those games, that team can come out a little soft because they're not really ready. It takes a little bit to wake up. So sometimes they get behind. So I think that's what it will be kind of interesting to kind of watch because the Bengals are kind of rolling. So I don't know if they can come out hot early. It might kind of change how this thing goes, but yeah, that week off can be, it depends on the team.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at some of the stats I sent you guys. This is how I feel like the Bengals can win if they make it a track meet. I don't know if the Titans can, like I think they want to control the clock. I think they want to get the game, like keep it going, keep the clock going. I don't think they want to get in sort of like a track meet where they have to score like 30 to 38 points. Any thoughts on that? Like, do you guys feel like if it is a track meet, what team do you guys think it would benefit? Because I think it might be the Bengals, but I could be wrong. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the Titans had the 2nd ranked rush defense in the NFL. That kind of goes underrated. So if it's a slow game and Bengals are having to run, I think that obviously helps the Titans. If it's a high scoring game, that means Burrow's on fire. And I feel like he's the it factor for the Bengals.
Yeah. By the way, think about that too, because as we do our predictions, I want an X factor. I forgot to tell you guys before the show, an X factor for each game that you guys have. Okay. So just as we go through it, hopefully it doesn't, distract you from what we're talking about. Okay. Let's go to the next point. Bengals are 7th in passing yards and have the 13th in overall offense, which it goes, I think, to your point that the Titans, right, have a good run defense, you said, Nate, right? But I feel like where the Bengals can catch the Titans is by passing the football effectively, which goes along with that track meet. Okay, and then on the road, this is interesting though. On the road, which they are on the road against the Titans, they average almost 100 less yards passing. So kind of scary. Does that make you nervous when you think about, if like, I don't go ahead, Brew.
Yeah, that does for me, because I think they're going to have to, like Nate said, pick their spots. They're going to have to be aggressive. They're going to have to go downfield, because that's where the Titans defense is weak. So if maybe, I don't know if that's scheme or if that's just efficiency, why they have so much less yards. But if it's because they're less aggressive, that's going to hurt. But they've been kind of rolling pretty aggressive the last few games, going downfield a lot more. So I think that might be interesting to see if that holds true.
Yeah. We'll have to see. It's going to be a fun game, though. That's for sure. Titans, and this is what goes back to they have the 25th passing defense, so that's where they're going to get them. I think if they're going to win this game, they got to exploit that. Okay, Titans win if Titans run game. So if this is basically like if they run the ball effectively. In the last 3 games, the Bengals have allowed over 154 yards on the ground per game. So this is where the Titans, I feel like, can indeed win the game, is by controlling the ball and getting like 200 yards rushing. You know, they totally could if they're allowing certain teams to get 154, right? Let's see here. Go ahead, Shan.
One thing that people have to realize too is that last year in the playoffs, there was really no home field advantage because there was no fans in the stands. And it's completely different this year. I think that home field advantage is definitely a factor this year versus last year. And I think for the Titans to win, they just need a few good runs in the first quarter to bring the defense up, and then they can do some play action and get AJ Brown the ball. And I think that's the key to Titans winning the game.
Yeah, I kind of sort of agree with you there, Nate.
And not that this means anything, but historical data, Titans are only 2-3 all time in the playoffs at home since relocating from Houston. So home field hasn't done much for them before. Obviously, every year the team's different, but that's just the history of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat, but I would say like the sample size is super small though too, right? So but yeah, that's a cool stat. Yeah. So the two times they won was the Super Bowl with McNair when they got to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, so back in '99 or 2000. Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, let's go into our predictions. So we're going to see where everybody else goes. Before we get into our predictions, anything for you guys add to the game? Anything you're looking forward to? Anything? Go ahead, Drew.
I think what's going to make it exciting, like I think we're all kind of thinking it will be, is its strength of each team against the other team's weakness. So like it could be just back and forth, just totally different ball games, which is going to make it pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, one's weakness is pass defense, where their strength is passing. Yeah, and then the running game opposite. Yeah, good point, bro. Like it. Okay, let's look at the predictions for the guests that are normally on the show that are not here right now. Chris, Ryan, and Eric all picked the Bengals, and Luke and Avery picked the Titans. That's not all. We also have Travis. And Travis has picked the Bengals, and let's listen to why.
Bengals Titans. What a game this will be. One for this year, and that's it. Bengals are going to be winning this because they are still hot. Even though they didn't blow out Oakland, they still got the W. That's what counts. I don't know. The Titans just don't really scare me, even though they're the number 1 seed. I pretty much will take any team over the Titans right now. Sorry, Zach, but not sorry. Jamar Chase is going to have another huge game.
Okay, well, does Zach have a rebuttal? Yes, he does, because Zach picked the Titans. Let's hear what Zach has to say about his prediction.
So Bengals Titans, I am for sure taking the Titans, being a homer on this one, but it's going to be close. It's going to be really close. I think the Titans, they're going to be able to control the ball. They're going to be able to run the ball effectively against the Bengals, hold time of possession on their side, keep the Burrow, Jamar Chase combo on the sideline as long as they possibly can. That's how they're going to win this game. It's the only way they're going to win this game. I think it'll still be a really fun game to watch. Bengals fans, Travis included, I think you're going to enjoy this one. It's going to be high scoring. It's going to be fun to watch. But again, I'm giving the Titans a little bit of an edge. Home field advantage. The possibility of even having Derrick Henry back scares the crap out of anybody who's from Cincinnati. So looking forward to that. But again, taking the Titans over the Bengals for sure.
Okay. Did you all notice that like Zach was just a little bit more humble about it than Travis?
I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in Travis's prediction there. I felt like he had no information whatsoever other than I like the Bengals and they're going to win. So sorry, Travis, but that was weak.
Purely heart, Travis.
That was almost as bad as his Jameis Winston take. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so as far as in our room right now, Nate, you have the Bengals. So you want to go ahead and give your reason why?
Bengals have won 4 of their last 5. The only one they lost was that last game of the year where they sat everybody. They're hot. Like I said earlier, the Titans lost their finale. They had the bye week. I just think the Bengals are rolling and they're going to roll through this game too.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Nate. See, that is what true analysis is there, Travis. So take some notes there. And then me, Shannon, and Rue all pick the Titans. So Shannon, you want to get us started here? Why do you got the Titans?
For one thing, they're rested. I think that the Bengals are just a year removed from being better than what they can be. They're still young and inexperienced. Tannehill has even though he may not have the buzz that Joe Burrow has being the number 1 pick, Tannehill does have a lot of NFL experience, and in the playoffs, that goes a long way. I don't think he's going to get rattled. I think that Tennessee will control the clock. I picked the Tennessee by 4, but I think that's only because the Bengals score a late touchdown. It's not really as close as that.
Okay. Do you have a score?
We'll go 27-23.
Okay. Nate, you have a score?
I'll go Bengals 34-27.
Oh, that's good. That'd be a fun game. Rue, how about you? Give us the reason why you got the Titans and maybe a score.
So I went Titans because I hope the Bengals win, but I feel like they're just rolling a little too high, and I think Vrabel's smart enough. He might just throw a little bit of a wrench in there, and rattle the young crowd a little bit. But I could see it totally going the other way. But I couldn't bet on it. I had to make my pick, not up with my heart, unlike Travis. But I have no idea on a score because I could see this one going. I think it's going to be high scoring though. So let's say 38-31.
Okay. So just so you know, like Zach even admitted, I just want to throw Zach a little under the bus. He picked with his heart as well. So at least he had facts, but I just don't want to be like Travis only. So, I'm going to protect him just a little bit here. Real quick, guys, X factors. Any X factors for this game for you guys? Nate, you nodded your head.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. I mean, if he's hot and he's throwing the ball all over the place, I think it's going to be hard for the Titans to keep up because if the Titans are going to score, it's going to be in the run game. It's going to take more time. So I think Joe Burrow's the X factor for the Bengals.
Okay. Rue?
So I agree to an extent, but I also think Burrow's going to be hot. So I think if Joe Mixon can actually get rolling, I think they have a better chance of, kind of controlling. But against that D line, that rush defense, it's tough. So if he can, I think the Bengals got a lot better shot.
Yeah. What Shannon, you got one or?
For the Bengals or for the Titans?
Either one. Yeah. Like, what do you think is the X factor for
I think the X factor is Ryan Tannehill, not just throwing interceptions. Yeah. To me, that's the X factor. If he keeps it from giving the Bengals the ball, I think that's the key. And I think the Tennessee Titans win then.
Yeah. So I picked the Titans as well. My X factor is the trenches. I think that's what's going to decide this game. The weakness for the Cincinnati Bengals is their interior line. And I think that is the strength of the Titans with, I believe it's Jeffrey Simmons. I can't remember off the top of my head who the defense, that nose tackle is that they have, but I just trust that the Titans are going to be the more physical team. And I think if it ends up being a track meet, the Bengals are going to win. So I'm going to pick 28-19, and I'm going to pick the Titans to win. And if it's who gets to 31st, the Bengals are going to win. That's what that's sort of how I feel about it. But I just think that, the Titans are just going to be more physical. Okay, you guys ready to go on to the next game then? Well, there you have it. Our breakdown of the Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Titans. Who do you have in the game? Who is your X factor? What do you think the score is going to be? Let us know in the comments below. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel for more content. And if you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, click on one of the links down below. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you guys soon.